शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। वञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Namaskaram all of you, and welcome to the 58th session on Narayaneeyam. We will take up today the Dasakam 38 of Bhattatiri, highlighting Sri Krishņāvatāram-Jananam. In the last session, we saw Bhattatiri's description of Parabrahman's Purnāvatara-Kāranam and stopped with the last slokam of the Dasakam, but did not go into detail as to Sankarshana's birth, namely that of Balarama's. Bhattatiri concluded the 37th Dasakam with this slokam. Prapte saptama garbhatam mahipato Prapte saptama garbhatam mahipato Tvatpreranatmaya Nite madava rohiniyam tvamavivoho Chatitsugaigatmagah Devakya jadaram viveshita vivo Devakya jadaram viveshita vivo Samsuyamanasuraihi Sattvam Krishna viduya rogapatalim Bhaktim param dehi me Sattvam Krishna viduya rogapatalim Bhaktim param dehi me Bhaktim param dehi me dehi me. प्राप्ते सप्तम गर्भताम अहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणात् मायया नीते माधव रोहिणीं त्वमपि भोः सच्चित् सुखैकात्मकः देवक्या जठरं विवेशित विभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः सत्वं कृष्ण विदूय रोगपटलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे. Devaki's seventh pregnancy was a partial incarnation of Adisesha, known as Sankarshanamurti. To protect the child from Kamsa, Goddess Yogamaya, acting on your divine command, miraculously transferred the fetus to Vasudeva's first wife Rohini, who was living safely in Gokulam. Because the fetus was drawn out and transplanted, the child was named Sankarshana, though he also came to be called Balarama, signifying both his immense strength and the joy he brought to all. Following this, Bhagavan entered Vasudeva's mind as Chachidananda, transitioning thence into Devaki's womb as her eighth pregnancy. O Lord, omniscient as you are, when you were situated in the womb of Devaki, Brahma and all other devas came there and sang your praise with extreme devotion. Suka's words in Srimad Bhagavatam, slokas 26 and 27 of chapter 2 are quite fascinating. Satyavratam Satyaparam त्रिसत्यं सत्यस्य योनिं निहितं च सत्ये सत्यं रतं सत्यपरं त्रिसत्यं सत्यस्य योनिं निहितं च सत्ये सत्यस्य सत्यं सत्यात्मकं त्वां शरणं प्रपन्नाः एकायनोऽसौ विफलश्रीमूलः चतुरसः पञ्चविधः षडात्माः एकायनोऽसौ विफलश्रीमूलः चतुरसः पञ्चविधः षडात्मा सप्तत्वघट्टविडभो नवाक्षो दशच्चरी द्विकगोहि अधिवृक्षः सत्यव्रतं सत्यपरं त्रिसत्यं सत्यस्य योनिं निहितं च सत्ये सत्यस्य सत्यं ऋतसत्यनेत्रं सत्यात्मकं त्वां शरणं प्रपन्नाः. The Devas prayed this way. The Lord is the eternal, all-pervading and absolute reality beyond and behind the entire cosmos. O Bhagavane, you are the ultimate supreme Brahman, unchanging reality of existence. The word Satya, namely the truth, is used in multiple times to define different dimensions of his divine nature. Eternal presence. Bhagavan exists in all three phases of time: before the creation of the universe, during the existence of the universe, and after his dissolution, leading to Pradaya. The source and essence. Bhagavan is also the origin of this material world and simultaneously dwells within every atom of its own inner guide as Antaryamin, or the inner force of every atom of existence. The ultimate shelter. While the material world is temporary and constantly changing, the Lord is the only absolute, unalterable truth. Therefore, the deities surrender unto him as the ultimate refuge. Ekayanosau dvipalam trimulaha chaturasaha panchavidaha shadatma saptatvag ashtavitapo navaksho dasachadi dvikagohi adivrikshaha. See how many adjectives. The universe and the human body are a complex tree of illusion, maya, where the individual soul tastes the fruits of karma while God resides within as the silent observer. This sloka uses a brilliant metaphor, comparing human life and the material universe to a giant complex tree, which is samsara vriksha, with very specific components. The base and roots. The tree rests on one single base, material nature, which is Prakriti, and is nourished by three roots, which are the three modes of nature: Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. The structure. It has 8 main branches: earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and ego, ahankara. I have already explained about this ahankara as different from our human creation and human ahankara, and is covered by 10 leaves or koshas, the 10 vital life airs or pranas within the body. The experience. The tree bears only 2 fruits, pleasure and pain. The living entity experiences these through the 5 senses and the pursuit of 4 life goals: dharma, wealth, desire, and liberation. The 2 birds perched upon this body tree are 2 birds. One is the individual soul, Jivatma, which busily eats the fruits and experiences joy and sorrow. The other is the Supreme Soul, Paramatma, who sits silently as a detached witness to the Jivatma and totally unaffected by the fruits. This beginningless tree of creation has one ground in the shape of Prakriti or primordial matter, a couple of fruits in the shape of pleasure and pain, 3 roots which are 3 modes of Prakriti, namely Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, Four kinds of sap, four objects of human pursuit: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Five media of perception, namely the five senses. Six states, namely birth, existence, growth, ripeness, decay, and destruction. Seven layers of barks, which are seven constituents of the body: chyle, blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, and semen. Eight bows, which are earth, water, fire, air, and ether and mind, reason and ego. Nine hollows, Navadvara, the nine apertures of the body. A pair of birds, namely the individual soul and the inner controller exhibiting it. And thus it is endowed with 10 leaves, 10 vital airs, namely Prana, Apana, Samana, Vyana, Udana, Naga, Kurma, Krikala, Devadatta, and Dhananjaya. This is Srimad Bhagavata Purana. That is what that one sloka completely encompasses. Ekaya nausau dvipalam trimulaha, chaturasaha panchavidaha shadhatma, saptatvagu ashta vitapo navaksho dachachadi dvikagohi adhivrikshaha. Why did all the devas go accompanied by Brahma and Bhudevi and every other entity of all creation to the Brahman and seek his intervention to take the Purnavadara? Bhagavatam begins with his answer. Therefore, with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Satyam Param Dhimahi, that's how Bhagavatam begins. Vasudeva is Krishna and he is the Param Satyam, the Supreme Truth. The Supreme Truth can be approached or understood by the Supreme Method as declared by the very Supreme Truth itself. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yachasmi tattvataha. Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 55th slokam. Bhakti is the only marga or the way to understand the absolute truth. For protection, therefore, the devas, namely the demigods, surrender unto me the supreme truth, not to the relative truth or maya. There are persons who worship various demigods, but the supreme truth, Krishna, declares again in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 7, Antavattu palam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasam. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary, which they are unaware. Worship of demigods may be useful for a very limited time, for a very limited purpose. But the result is antavat, namely perishable. This material world is impermanent, and the demigods are impermanent, and the benedictions derived from the demigods are also impermanent, whereas the living entity is satyam or eternal or permanent. Nityo nityanam, chetanas chetananam, says Kathopanishad. Every living entity, therefore, must search for eternal happiness, not temporary happiness. The words Satyam Param Dhimahi indicate that one should search for that Satyam or absolute truth, not the relative truth. Srimad Bhagavatam again in a prior canto, canto 7, Taptasya Tatpriti Vidirya Ihanjasishtaha Tavat Vibho Tanubrutam Tvat Upekshitanam. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child, a physician medicine cannot relieve an suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. It's not a permanent thing. For example, we witness often a father and mother, though normally protecting a child, cannot protect the child always. A physician and medicine supposed to protect at the time of any ailment or something cannot relieve a suffering patient all the time. And a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. Everything has a time. It is all temporary when the protection goes on. Sagradeva prapannai tava asmi iti cha yachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadami etat vratam mama. In Valmiki Ramayanam, in the 6th canto, He seeks refuge in me just once, telling me that I am yours. I shall give him assurance of safety against all types of beings. This is my solemn pledge. This is what Bhagavan says. Again, going back to Vedas to bolster the point, Svetasvatara Upanishad says, there is a statement about the Supreme Brahman. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, na tat samachavi adhikasya drishyate, parashya shaktihi vividhaiva shruyate, swabhaviki jnana bhalakriyacha. The Supreme Brahman does not need to do anything personally, for he has such potencies that anything he wants done will be done perfectly well through the control of the material nature, just like that. Swabhaviki jnana balakriyacha. O Krishna, you are indeed the same as the all-pervading Vishnu, as your name itself indicates. You, having situated in the womb of Devaki and the giver of immense happiness to everyone in all the worlds, may you eradicate all my ailments and bless me by bestowing on me the highest order of devotion, the sign of immense love to you. Krushihi bhuvachakaha shabdo nasya nirvriti-vachakaha Vishnuhu tad bhavayogasya Krishno bhavati sattvataha. This is Mahabharatam. The root Krish being synonymous with Bhu, Sat and the letter Na, meaning infinite bliss, those two joined together mean only one thing. The never-ending reality, namely the infinite bliss, is no different from Parabrahman. Krish, Bhu, Sat, Na. You combine them, Krishna. The Krishna is Parabrahman, infinite bliss. Krishna is no doubt same as Vishnu. Only one thing is, Vishnu is another name given having all his attributes, giver of happiness and embodiment of Sattva Guna. Also refer to Dasakam 44, wherein the great sage Garga selects the name of Krishna from the list of innumerable names and explains the above rationale. We are going to see that very soon. The divine incarnation of Bhagavan as the child of Devaki and Vasudeva is one of the most important events in the whole of Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana. Chapter 3 of Dasamaskandam covers this episode in picturesque detail. The auspicious occurrences prior to and at the time of the birth of Sri Krishna augured well for the grandeur of the occasion. Mother Nature rejoiced. As the time of incarnation of Bhagavan as Krishna drew near, the rainy season also set in and thunderous rain started pouring. Anandarupa Bhagavanayite Vatare Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanganiriyamani Anandarupa Bhagavanayite Vatare Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanganiriyamani Kantivrajairiva Dhana Jana Mandalaityam Abhrunvati Viruruche Ilavarshavelaya Kantivrajairiva Dhana Jana Mandalaityam Abhrunvati Viruruche Ilavarshavela Abhrunvati Viruruche Ilavarshavela. Ananda Rupa Bhagavanayite Avatare Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanga Niriyamanahi Kanti Vrajairiva Ghana Ghana Mandalaityam Abranvati Viruruche Kila Varshavela. O Bhagavana, you are the personification of supreme bliss. On the time of your incarnation as Lord Krishna, with a form comprising of Suddha Sattva, that is pure Sattva Guna without any admixture of Rajas or Tamas. When the time approached, dark clouds covered the entire sky and the rainy season has already set in. The intensity of the rain surpassed that of all of the prior years. The bright dark clouds looked as though they were rays of brilliance emanating from your divine body embedded in Devaki's womb. Sambhavana matotpreksha prakritasya samena yat. The identity given to the objects of nature, namely banks of rain-bearing clouds of natural color, with the rays of brilliance emanating from Bhagavan's body, is indicative of a figure of speech or alankara known as utpreksha. The maxim is Sambhavana matotpreksha prakritasya samena yat. Who said this? A great Acharya by name Mamata Bhatta. So Acharya Mamata's Kavya Prakasa, which wrote the grammar, in chapter 10, Mamata says this. This definition is written as a concise single line verse. The beautiful figure of speech has been introduced here. Bhagavan incarnated at midnight of the holy day on which were conjoined the star Rohini and Ashtami Tithi of the Krishna Paksha on the 8th day of the waning moon in the month of Shravana. Asa Suchitala Tarasu Asa Sitala Tarasu Payodato Yehi Asa Sitapti Vivaseshu Jasajjaneshu Asa Suchitala Tarasu Payodato Yehi Asasitapti Vivaseshu Jasajjaneshu Neishakarodaya Vidau Niji Madhyamayam Kleshapakaha Trijagatam Tvamika Avirasi Trijagatam Tvamika Avirasi Avirasi. Asasu Shitala Tarasu Payoda Toyehi Asasi Tapti Vivaseshu Chajjaneshu Naisha Karodaya Vidau Nishi Madhyamayam Klesha Apakaha Trijagatam Tvamika Avirasi. O Krishna, you incarnated in this world on the holy day, conjoining the star Rohini and Ashtami Tithi of Sri Krishna Paksha on the 8th day of the waning moon in the month of Shravana, at midnight at the time of moonrise, and in a form verily visible to all eyes, eradicating the sorrows of all in the three worlds. Nishite tama udbhute jayamane janardane devakyam devarupinyam vishnuhu sarvaguhashayah avirasit yata praksham disam induriva pushkalaha. This is the sloka that gave rise to Narayana Bhattatiri's sloka, which I quoted earlier. As Sukha tells Parikshit, when the time of birth of Sri Krishna arrived, the star Rohini was the ascendant. The quarters became clear of clouds and the sky was marked with a multitude of shining stars. The earth itself bore a very festive look. The rivers flowed in limpid streams and the ponds bloomed with lotuses. Wherever you see or hear or watch, fragrant breeze was blowing. The sacred fires of Brahmanas that were extinguished by Kamsa's persecution burst into flames by themselves without any kindling. Kettle drums sounded in the heavens. Kinnaras and Gandharvas sang and celestial women danced. Full of joy, sages and gods showered flowers. Clouds gently rumbled after the manner of the ocean. When midnight came, Lord Vishnu, the indweller of all hearts, manifested himself in his entirety through Devaki, who possessed a form similar to that of a goddess, as the full moon would appear in the eastern horizon. The next two slokas of Bhattatiri describe the divine and auspicious form of Bhagavan at the time of his incarnation. Bhavyasprisa Vipapusha Gadusha Vibhuti Udyakirida Kadagangata Bhasa Chankari Vari Jagada Paribhasitena Chankari Vari Jagada Paribhasitena Meghasitena Parilesita Sudige. Balyasprisavi vapusha dadusha vibhutihi Uddhat kirita kataka angada harabhasa Shankari varija gada paribhasitena meghasitena parilesita suti gege. Oh Bhagavane, at the time of your incarnation, you had assumed the form of a child. Even so, you looked indeed auspicious, adorned with ornaments that bespoke of Supreme Bhagavan, a brilliantly shining crown, bracelets, armlets, garlands, and full of everything, holding majestically the four ensigns of the Supreme Mahavishnu, namely the conch, the discus, the mace, and the lotus flower, and your physique shining with the complexion of the dark blue rain-bearing clouds and spreading luster all around the lying-in chamber.
கண்ணனை பெற்ற கடலாட்டிப் பறிவொடு முலை கொடுக்க பத்மநாபன் பருகினானே. இருவரும் தோழியும் சங்கமும் திகிரியும் ஒரு திரள் கஞ்சனை கொன்ற முன்னேந்திய கருணனை பெற்ற கடலாட்டி பறிவொடு முலை கொடுக்க பத்மநாபன் பத்மநாபன் பருகினானே.
இருபெருந்தோழியும் சங்கமும் திகிரியும் பொறுதிரள் கஞ்சனை பொன்றமுன் ஏந்திய கருநெடுங்கண்ணனை பெற்ற கடலாட்டி பறிவொடு முலை கொடுக்க பத்மநாபன் பருகினானே. Periyar says in Tirumozhi, in the first chapter itself, that the baby possessed four magnificent arms. Iruperundoli, literally meaning shoulders or arms, holding the conch, Sangamum, and the discus, Tigiriyum. He describes the mother Yashoda Devaki marveling at this dark lotus-eyed baby, Karunedunkandanai, who looks like the dark ocean, who then subdues his cosmic grandeur to drink milk like an innocent infant. Some people will also describe this Karunedunkandanai petra kadalatti parivodu mulai kodukka Padmanaban parihinane can be taken for Devaki as well as a little later about Yashoda admiring the child.
மின்னுமா மழையீது மின்னுமா மழையீது மின்னுமா மழையீது உலகேழும் உவப்ப அந்நாளில் கஞ்சனை காய்ந்தானே கார்வண்ணன் தம் சரிதை.
Thirumangai Mannan says in Periya Tirumozhi, frequently contrasting the cooling, dark rain cloud complexion of Bhagavan with the brilliant, flashing lustre of his jewels and weapons inside the room. Minnuma Mariyaidu Ulagezhum Uppa Annalil Kanjanai Kaindane Karvannan Tan Sharidai. Swami Desikan, writing seamlessly in both Sanskrit and Tamil in Manipravala, masterfully captured this exact concept of Bhagavan's Swarupam in Gopala Vimshati and Prabandha Saram, also known as Amrita Ranjani in Tamil. While his most direct multi-armed infant description is in the Sanskrit Gopala Vimshati, let us listen to that.
Vacham agochara charitra vishesha bandhum Vacham agochara charitra vishesha bandhum Suryatma jatata vigara vichitta vesho Vacham agochara charitra vishesha bandhum Suryatma jatata vigara vichitta vesham Avishkrita prakatamanusha bhava Avishkrita prakatamanusha bhava Agopamukta manasam भजतामदीशम् अगोपमुक्तमनसम् भजतामदीशम् भजताम् अदीशो.
वाचा मगोचर चरित्र विशेष बंधुम सूर्यात्म जात अडविहार विशिष्ट वेशम आविष्कृत प्रकट मानुष बाल भावम आगोपमुग्ध मनसम भजताम अदीशम. I meditate on the child who showed his divine four-armed form to his parents at birth and blessed them with his form. Dasakam mirrors this beautifully in his summer work Navamani Malai, where he praises Bhagavan's dark cloud-like hue, Karvannam, that cools the eyes of those who look upon him.
தாரர் தண்டுழாய் முடி தாரர் தண்டுழாய் முடி எம் தழைத்த அயர் கொழுந்தினைக்காரர் வடிவினை நோ கண்புதைக்க கண்டோமே. தாரர் தண்டுழாய் முடி எம் தழைத்த ஆயர் கொழுந்தினை காரார் வடிவினை நோ கண்புதைக்க கண்டோமே. கண்புதைக்க கண்டோமே கண்புதைக்க கண்டோமே.
தாரார் தண்டுழாய் முடியம் தழைத்த ஆயர் கொழுந்தினை காரார் வடிவினை நம் கண்புதைக்க கண்டோமே. We beheld his form, rich like a dark water cloud, which completely fills and cools our eyes.
Pakshastali suganilina vilasi lakshmi mandaksha lakshita kataksha vimoksha bedaihi. Pakshastali suganilina vilasi lakshmi Pakshastali suganilina vilasi lakshmi mandaksha lakshita kataksha vimoksha bedaihi. तन्मन्दिरस्य कलहं कृतामलक्ष्मीं उन्मार्जयन् इव विरेजित वासुदेवय. उन्मार्जयन् इव विरेजित वासुदेव विरेजित वासुदेव.
Bhattadri continues in Sloka 4, Vakshasthali Sukha Nilina Vilasi Lakshmi Mandaksha Lakshita Kataksha Vimoksha Vedehi Tan Mandirasya Kalakham Sakritam Alakshmi Unmarjayanniva Virejita Vasudeva. O Lord, O Vasudeva, you did shine much as the dispeller of the inauspiciousness caused by that evil Kamsa in that prison house, which had now acquired the sacredness of a temple on account of becoming the place of your divine descent. Your beloved sweetheart, Lakshmi, inseparably established in your bosom forever, is happy as ever and shy on account of the newly developing relationship of that of a daughter-in-law to Devaki and Vasudeva. Look at this. Her shyness, now enhanced by the physical presence of her parents-in-law in the lying-in room itself inside the prison, is eloquent of a new love. Her sidelong glances, even on normal occasions, are said to bring about auspiciousness and prosperity. It looked as though those glances are now directed towards cleansing out the inauspiciousness and disrepute brought about by the wicked Kamsa to that prison house, the dwelling place of Devaki and Vasudeva. Why? The whole of the capital Madura like rays of sunlight dispelling pitch darkness. The term Vasudeva requires a treatise, but let us limit it to a few examples only and see why it is Vasudeva. O Vasudeva, Sarvatrasau Samastam cha vasatyatreti vaiyataha tataha sa vasudeveti vidbhadbihi paripatyate. He who is omniscient, living in the entire expanse of the universe, with all the animate and inanimate objects living within him, and the embodiment of true spiritual knowledge is referred to as Vasudeva by knowledgeable persons. That you have now taken this incarnation as the child of Vasudeva, true to the evolution of this nomenclature with full insignia, symbolic of Bhagavan Vishnu, what more is required to prove that this incarnation is a complete one in all respects? This is the wonderment in Vishnu Purana. In the very first canto of Vishnu Puranam, Sarvatraso Samastam Cha Vasatyatreti Vai Yataha. Then we see Mahabharatam. Sanjaya tells Dhritarashtra in Mahabharatam in Udyoga Parva, Vasanat Sarvabhutanam Vasutvad Devayonitaha Vasudevastato Vedhyo Brihatvad Vishnu Ruchyate. Because he encompasses and provides a dwelling for all living beings, and because he is the self-luminous source of all existence, he is known as Vasudeva. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself has said, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevaha Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabhaha. This is Krishna himself proclaiming why he is Vasudeva. After many births, the enlightened soul surrenders unto me after realizing that Vasudeva is everything. Vasudevaha Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabhaha. Such a great soul is exceedingly rare to find. Yodhyayet Sarvagam Devam Krishnam Vaishwanaratmakam Sa Sarvadarshi Bhavati Sa Sarvam Vindati Dhruvam. There is a beautiful Upanishad about which I have spoken a couple of times, Gopala Tapani Upanishad. The Upanishad says, he who is Sarvaga, all-pervading, namely the essence of Vasudeva, is identical to Krishna. Whoever perceives this complete truth beholds the entire universe within him, validating that his descent is whole and absolute, which is Purna. Sa sarvadarshi bhavati, sa sarvam vindati dhruvam. Our Vasudeva is delighted at the sight of the auspicious form of Bhagavan Supreme.
Sauritudira munimandala chetasomi Durastitam vapuhu udiksha nijekshanabhya. Sauritudira munimandala chetasomi Durastitam vapuhu udiksha nijekshanabhya. Anandabhatva pulaka udgama gadgadardaihi Tuttavadritti makarandaraso bhavandam Ananda Bhatva pulaka udgama gadgadardaihi Tuttavadritti makarandarasam bhavandam.
Here, coming back to the jail, our Vasudeva is delighted at the sight of the auspicious form of Lord Vasudeva. Sauristu dhira munimandala chetasopi durastitam vapuhu udiksha nijekshanabhyam ananda bhashpa pulaka udgama gadgadadraha tushtavadishti makarandarasam bhavantam. It is said in Kumara Sambhavam, Vikar hetau sati vikriyante yeshamna chetamsita eva dhiraha. They, whose minds do not experience any emotions, despite there being many causes that could induce them to have emotions, are the truly self-controlled or disciplined ones. That is why Bhattatiri used the word Dhira Muni. He used it beautifully. Dhira and Muni. Sauristu Dhira Muni Mandala Chetasopi. O Krishna, you remain inaccessible even to the minds of the sages who are Dhiraha, strong-minded, and Jitendriyaha, truly self-controlled or disciplined ones, and do not flinch even once from their yogic concentration. even though sages are able to comprehend you only with great difficulty. Such being your divine form, and being able to see it with his own eyes at close proximity, Vasudeva was filled with immense joy and was overcome with emotions which resulted in external manifestations like horripilation, shedding tears of joy, and voice getting choked. This is the fitting place to take a look at the description of Bhagavan at birth as seen by Vasudeva, as narrated by the great sage Sukha in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Tamadbhutam balakam Tamadbhutam balakam Ambujakshanam Chaturbhujam Shankagadari Udayudham Tamadbhutam balakam Ambujakshanam Chaturbhujam Shankagadari Udayudham Shivatsalakshmam Galashoabhikaustubham Pītambaram Sandrapayoda Saubhagam Maharja Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Vishaparishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddama Kanchangada Kanganadihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata Uddama Kanchangada Kanganadihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata.
Tamadbhutam bhalakam ambujekshanam Chaturbhujam Shankha Gadari Udayudam Shivatsalakshmam Galashobi Kaustubam Pītambaram Sandra Payoda Saubhagam Maharya Vaidurya Kirita Kundalam Tusha Parisvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddama Kanchangada Kankanadibihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata. Vasudeva then saw the newborn child who had very wonderful lotus-like eyes, and who bore in his 4 hands the 4 weapons, Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma. On his chest was the mark of Shivatsa, and on his neck the brilliant Kaustuba gem. Dressed in yellow, the child's body, blackish like a dense cloud, with scattered hair, fully grown, and his helmet and earrings sparkling uncommonly with the valuable gem Vaidurya, the child decorated with a brilliant belt, armlets, bangles and other ornaments appeared very wonderful right at birth. This is actually how Sukha narrates in Srimad Bhagavatam. This reminds us of the beautiful description in Brahma Samhita, which we may have seen earlier in the 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita.
Venum Kvanantam Aravindadalayataksham Venum Kvanantam Aravindadalayataksham Bhargavadauto Asitambuda Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamagam Bhajami Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamagam Bhajami.
Venum Kvanantam Aravindadalayataksam Bhargavatamsam Asitambuja Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the Prema Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with the head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. Nammalvar, Periyalvar and Andal sang somewhat similarly, but let us see how Thiruvaiyaru Alvar in Periya Thirumozhi sang.
Karvannam Tirumeni Kamalavannam Karvannam Tirumeni Kamalavannam Tirukkangal Parvannamadamangai Panimalarar Uremarvan Karvannam Tirumeni Kamalavannam Tirukkangal Parvannamadamangai Panimalarar Uremarvan Sanguvannatadakayam Sar சார்கவில்லல் சங்கு வண்ணத் தடக்கையன் சார்கவில்லன் சுடராழி பீதக ஆடையினான் பெருந்தவத்தாள் பெற்றாளே.
கார்வண்ணம் திருமேனி கமலவண்ணம் திருக்கண்கள் பார்வண்ண மடமங்கை பனிமலராள் உரைமார்பன் சங்கு வண்ணத் தடக்கையன் சார்கவில்லன் சுடராழி பீதக ஆடையினான் பெருந்தவத்தாள் பெற்றாளே. This is பெரிய திருமொழி. Sukha describes further.
சவிஸ்மயோத்புல்ல விலோச்சனோ ஹரிம் சவிஸ்மயோத்புல்ல விலோச்சனோ ஹரிம் சுதோ விலோக்ய ஆனகதுந்துபித்ததய ஹரிம் சுதோ சவிஸ்மயோத்புல்ல விலோச்சனோ ஹரிம் சுதோ விலோக்ய ஆனகதுந்துபித்தத कृष्णावतारोत्सव संभ्रमो स्पृशन् मुदा द्विजेभ्यो अयुतो आप्लुतो गवाम् अयुतम् आप्लुतो गवाम् अयुतम् आप्लुतो गवाम्
स विस्मयोत्फुल्ल विलोचनो हरिम् सुतं विलोक्य आनग दुन्दुभिः तदा कृष्णावतारोत्सव संभ्रमो स्पृशन् मुदा द्विजेभ्यो अयुतम् आप्लुतो गवाम्. When Vasudeva, who is known as Anaka Dundubi, saw his extraordinary son, his eyes were struck with wonder. In transcendental jubilation, he mentally collected 10,000 cows and distributed them among the Brahmanas as a transcendental festival. What does this mean? Being a Kshatriya, Vasudeva wanted to celebrate the birth of a child so elaborately, even though he was imprisoned with bare subsistence. At least he was able to do it manasikam. He was unable to do anything externally, therefore he performed the festival internally in his mind as though he was celebrating to his heart content. If a Shuddhatma is unable to serve the Supreme Brahman, he or she can serve Bhagavan within one's mind, since such activities from pure mind are as good as those of the other senses. This is called Advaya Jnana, non-dual or absolute prayer. Fine. Why is Vasudeva mentioned in as Anaka Dundubi here? I think I have mentioned it in an earlier Upanyasam a few years ago. Vasudevo Mahabhaguhu पूर्वम आनक दुंदुभिः यज्ञे यस्य प्रसूतस्य दुंदुभ्यः प्राणदुंदिभि आनकानां च संघ्रादः सुमहान भवद्दिभि. Vishnu Purana says when Vasudeva was born, the divine drums called Anakas and Dundubis, they resounded in the heavens, and hence he came to be known as Anaka Dundubi.
Atainamastau tavadarya purusham Atainamastau avadarya purusham Paraunatangakritadhikritanjali Swarochisha bharata sudikadriyam Virochayantam gadabhi prabhavavit Ataino attau avadarya purusham param Natangakridadihi kritanjali Swarochisha bharata sudikadriyam Virochayantam gadabhi prabhavavit gadabhi prabhavavit.
Atainam astau avadarya purusham param Natangaha kritadihi kritanjalihi Swarochisha bharata sutikagraham Virochayantam gatabi prabhavavit. O Maharaja Parikshit, descendant of King Bharata, Vasudeva could now understand that this child was the Supreme Brahman. This is what Sukha explains to Parikshit. He is none other than Narayana. Having concluded this without a doubt, he became fearless. Now Vasudeva is no longer worried about the safety of this child, because he knows it is Sakshat Bhagavan who has descended down. Bowing down with folded hands and concentrating his total attention, Vasudeva began to offer prayers to the child who illuminated his birthplace, that Karagriham, by his natural influence. Overcome by the thrill of ecstasy, with his hair standing on end, Vasudeva shed tears of joy. With a broken voice choked with emotion, Vasudeva started praising you, extremely joyous to behold, in the words of Bhattatiri as follows.
Devaprasida Parapurushatapavali Nirluna Datra Samanitra Kalavilasim Devaprasida Parapurushatapavali Nirluna Datra Samanitra Kalavilasim Kedanapaguru Rupa Gurubihi Katakshayi Ityaditena Mudidena Chiram Devaprasida Parapurushatapavali Nirluna Datra Samanitra Kalavilasim Kedanapaguru Rupa Gurubihi Katakshayi Ityaditena Muditena Chiram Nutohu Ityaditena Muditena Chiram Nutohu.
Devaprasida Parapurusha Tapavalli Nirlunadatra Samanetra Kalavilasin Kedan Aparakuru Krupa Gurubihi Katakshehi Ityaditena Muditena Chiram Nutovuhu. Seeing your divine auspicious form wearing the symbols of Lord Vishnu, Vasudeva realized that you are verily the Supreme Brahman. Overflowing with joy, he praised you for long, addressing you as He Deva, He Parapurusha, He Tapavalli, He Nirlunadatraha, He Samanetra, He Kalavilasin, and similar epithets, praying for your divine grace and destruction of sorrows. One can imagine the ecstasy of Narayana Bhattatiri pouring his heart through Vasudeva. This requires some analysis. Hey Deva. The word Deva means one that makes other things shine. What is the etymology of Deva? Deepyate iti Devaha. So he called him Hey Deva. In accordance with the Vedic text, na tad bhasayate suryo na nakshatrani na chandrama tameva bantam manuvadi sarve tat tejasa sarvamivam vibhati. This particular quote, na tad bhasayate suryo na nakshatrani na chandrama, etc., is found in Kathopanishad as well as Mundakopanishad, and its essence is also echoed in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 15. The meaning of this is, none of them, the sun, the moon, nor the stars are making it. The Lord Supreme Consciousness incarnate shines on its own. On the contrary, the entire universe shines due to His magnanimity and His brilliance and Bhagavan's brilliance. All objects shine on account of Parabrahman's brilliance only. That is the essence of this Veda Vakyam. This is what is reiterated in Bhagavad Gita as from Krishna to Arjuna. Na tat bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatvana nivartante tad dhamma paramam mama. The basis for this Bhagavad Gita slokam which Krishna repeats here, Veda Vakyam which is eternal. Na tad bhasayate suryo na nakshatrani na chandrama tameva bantam manubhati sarve tat tejasa sarvamidam vibhati. Bhagavad Gita says that supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by Agni or whatever it is. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Hey Parapurusha, you are also the supreme being, elevated far beyond the realm of the transient effects of Maya. You are greater than anything else. There is nothing greater than you. Kenopanishad says, Indriyebhyaha parahi arto artebhyasya param manaha manasastu parabuddhihi buddheratma mahan paraha mahataha paramabhyaktam avyayag purusha paraha. Purushanna param kinchit sa kashta sa paragatihi. It's a very famous Kenopanishad Vakyam. The objects are superior to the senses. The mind is superior to the objects. The intellect is superior to the mind. The great Atman is superior again to the intellect as well. The unmanifested is superior to the great Atman, and the Purusha is superior to the unmanifested. Nothing is superior to the Purusha, which is the end, which is the supreme goal. Mahata Purusham Abhyaktam Abhyayat Purusha Paraha Purushanna Param Kinchite Sa Kashta Sa Paragatihi. Here, the explanation for objects is Pancha Mahabhutas. The great Atman is Hiranyagarbha and the unmanifested is the primordial matter or Prakriti. Let us see a little more about Bhattatiri's description. He Tapavalli Nirluna Datraha. Ordinary creepers spread on to branches and sub-branches and engulf the entire tree. Likewise, the threefold mundane miseries, namely Adhyatmika relating to the body such as illness, Adidevika relating to natural calamities like flood, earthquakes, lightning, etc., and Adi Bhautika caused by living beings spread on Jivatman. Hence they are compared to creepers. You are the divine weapon which can totally eradicate the creeper of miseries that go on in our life. Hey Samanetra, here the word Sama is said to be extremely appropriate with the word Netra, interpreted as leader or controller, meaning that he is the one who appropriately controls all animate and inanimate beings, starting from Brahma, the creator himself, down to a blade of grass according to their karma. Hey Samanetra. Equal and equanimous treatment. Hey Kalavilasin. The supreme being that you are, having the instrument of Maya at your command, do create this wonderful world, protect it, and finally destroy it like the pranks of little children. Or, according to the saying by Bhishma in Mahabharatam, you do shine as the power center for controlling all arts. You remember in Vishnu Sahasranamam there is a Palasruti slokam, Yogo Jnanam Tata Sankyam Vidya Shilpadi Karmacha Veda Shastrani Vijnanam Etat Sarvam Janardhanat. The science of yoga, Sankhya, all branches of knowledge, the arts such as sculpture, all Vedas, all scriptures and all sciences were all brought to being by the grace of Lord Janardhana. Here, if we take Tapavalli, Nirlunadatra Samanetra Kalavilasin as one word, it should be interpreted as you do shine as the one who by the compassionate glances cast on his devotees eradicate all their woes, just as a knife would do away with a creeper by cutting it asunder by its very roots. O Bhagavane, please cast your compassionate glances on me and protect me from all my sorrows caused by Kamsa so far, as well as those likely to be caused by him hereafter, and bless me. When Bhattatiri says, he pleads on behalf of Vasudeva, he pleads on behalf of everybody and suddenly injects himself into this. With such and similar prayers, Vasudeva implored you. Devaki too praised the Lord, who then assumed the form of a human child. We will see that and all of what happens next in the next session. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanaya. Om GuruBhakti
Narayana 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 Hare Krishna GuruBhakti Hari-Katha